Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, folks. This is my final one. And remember, this is all pre-prepped videos because I don't want to be doing this shit tomorrow when I gotta work a 12-hour shift, nor do I want to do it on Saturday when I have to do a 9-hour shift. So, we're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do bragging rights, right? We just put the ham in now. And Mr. Paul back there let me sample some. And we didn't just do the honey glaze. He put some hot sauce on there.
No, not yet. That's not that part yet.
Oh, not that quite far yet. But we're going to put some hot sauce on it.
That's going to be part of the second glaze because this is a double glaze ham.
It's going to be awesome, folks. It's going to
be huge. It's like almost 8 pounds.
This is going to be awesome. And there will be pictures. I don't know how we'll be able to do it before we start eating it because we're like saving all our hunger for this. But yeah. And of course, because we're smart, we got instead of getting like the store-bought already made pies, we went with an old favorite of ours, Marie Callender's, which has never failed us yet. And we even did it a few years back. I think Sid got a couple of them at one point, but
if you have ever seen the Sharon Weiss memes, that woman was an idiot.
We love our Marie Callender's. And we got her pumpkin pie, which we're going to eat today, or her apple pie. And the pumpkin pie is being saved to me for my moody ass for tomorrow when I have to work 12 hours.
No, we're going to bake the pumpkin pie today, and I was going to do the apple pie over the weekend. That way there will be leftover pumpkin pie for you tomorrow.
Sweet. I scored. We scored. And folks, we did this all under, well, it cost us about $30. $30, folks. And we have cheese ball. We have chocolate-covered pretzels. We got pie. We got oyster stuffing coming. We're going to have food for days. So, bragging rights over. To the disclaimers. In the description box, folks, you're going to find the links to the article that the judge wrote Berg Educational Center doesn't want you to read, written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. In regards to the JRC's quote-unquote so-called behavioral modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you reading this article so much they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Read the article, share on all your social media. We also got NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe, as we are crowdfunding. Us groups that we start, folks, we're not rich. This particular group brings in about $10,000 a year. Mine's mainly on line list days and brings in zero. So, please, if you got something, please lend towards it and share it everywhere. We also got the pertinent links to the Agape boarding school situation. Agape boarding school is one of the many schools like it out in this freaking area. Send help. Please donate to the Paul, Tiffany, Jamie, Des, and all of our friends need the fuck out of here fund. We take donations in food, small change,
prepaid airline tickets,
dollars,
fake passports,
paid for her hotels. Send help. But beyond the joking, folks, please share all those articles on all your social media. Don't forget to sign and share the change.org Shut Agape Boarding School Down petition. Remember, we've had a staff member arrested by the FBI, a doctor on the premises. Yeah, you know the drill, right? Sorry, my brain is like gone. All I can think about is ham. So, Yeah, okay. We got the pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistica's massive archive on the subject, Universe Masemba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip of the 2002 ordeal undergone by Andre McCullens, the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org shut the Judge Rotenberg Center down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones. All right. Okay. We use blah, 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 blah. I can't brain. Tiffany can't brain. Paul, I can't brain.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Anyways. Trigger warning. We are about to descend into the mad ravings of a lunatic mind known as Dr. Israel, and I don't mean in the good way. You're going to hear gaslighting, victim blaming, and just all in all bullshit, so be prepared for that. Folks, if you got children under 16 watching the channel, parental supervision is advised. And of course, folks, the usual. We use profanity and talk about dark subjects. Just, know that. Now we're going to go back to where we left off a minute ago. Please pray for my food-addled brain. Okay, moving on to the next stupid paragraph. Well, you'll get another episode of Tiffany's rant that why are we using behavioral psychology on neurological disorders, part infinity. Modern behavioral psychology has developed effective treatments for many of these behavior problems. For people with mental health issues, yes, but it isn't shock treatment last time I checked. For autism, why, again, are we using behavioral psychology on people with neurological disabilities? It doesn't compute. It makes no sense even on a psychology level. Okay? You can't treat a brain... I'll equivalent it again with... It's like using chemo treatment used for cancer patients to cure the common cold. I guess it does, that cure ending in death. You see what I mean, right? Good. Glad you do. Because we're about to descend into some stupid. Modern behavioral psychology, beginning largely with the work of B.F. Skinner, has developed a treatment for these behaviors called behavior modification or applied behavioral analysis, which is the biggest bunch of bullshit on the planet. I can't stress that enough. You're never going to force us to be normal. What you will teach us to do is to mask and hate every single second of our lives. Okay? It's all it does. Make us hate ourselves, or make us hate you and the world even more. He didn't need help with detachment, folks. Him and his younger sister did not need help with hating humanity. You all forcing them to act like you, talk like you, be like you. Every time they walk out the door, it causes little growls, folks. These people get growly when they are exposed to general humanity and forced to mask for too long. That's just on the schizotypal frame. We're not talking autism yet. Okay? It's bullshit and it's bad for you. And when you use B.F. fucking Skinner, of all goddamn people, as your go-to main link as to why this shit works, you are on crack, and it must be some fantastic come to Jesus, I talked with Elvis for an hour shit. B.F. Skinner is what, he's like the fucking, he's the shit on your shoe that you can't get off in psychology. Everybody else in psychology, and yes, folks, I have friends who actually are psychologists, look on him with absolute disdain because this individual used animal testing. Hey, you liberals, listen up. Vegans, listen up. This fucker would torture and shock mice and rats. in order to do behavior modification. If that sounds like brainwashing through torture, that's because it is. But moving on before we get into the dark rabbit hole that is ABA and its bullshit. At its simplest and most easily understood level, it involves arranging rewards for desired behaviors and decelerative aversive consequences for when undesired behaviors are shown. So torture or you get a cookie. Isn't that great? Last time I checked, I'm on a fucking dog, and you know what? Dogs deserve a hell of a lot better than that. Don't get me started on that fucking subject. I can go all day. We are human beings, we're not lab rats. Okay? The stick and carrot will do nothing if at very least, will have us harboring resentment against the rest of humanity for the rest of our fucking lives. You want that? You really want a large group of people who secretly hate you with every fiber of our being? Because that's what this shit produces. Right here. And your passive allowing of it to go on and never calling it out, but getting butthurt when we do? Yeah, we don't look too kindly on that either. Okay? The stick and carrot routine doesn't work. And you want to know why it doesn't work? Because all it does is force us to mask. It's not actually dealing with any of the issues. It's putting a band-aid on it, putting a mask on it, and hoping it goes away on its own. That's literally not how any of this works. Literally not how any of this works. Okay? This is why you cannot use behavioral psychology on neurodevelopmental disorders. These triggers, what's causing these behaviors, need to be dealt with. And with this, it doesn't. Because ABA comes in on the false assumption that they know what causes these behaviors. They don't. Matter of fact, they are in complete disagreement with the DSM-5, no less, as to what the causes of these issues are. DSM-5 will tell you it's our neurology. It's what happens when we get triggered. ABA says all we want is attention, or we're trying to manipulate some outcome. So what is it? Are we so honest and so stuck with our codes of honor that it's to our own detriment? Or are we just a bunch of manipulators throwing a toddler fit to get what we want? Which one is it, medical model? Because you can't have your cake and eat it too. Okay? Moving on before I get in another rant. Using approach, new treatments have been developed by a variety of behavioral problems. Again, it's this cookie cutter shit that is the absolute most horrible part of modern day psychology, bar none. You can't treat a person with autism with the same treatment with a person who's suffering from PTSD. It doesn't work, folks, because what's causing the behaviors may be similar, but the causes aren't the same. That's why doing the same treatment for both based on similar behaviors but completely ignoring the triggers will never work, because the issues that are causing the behaviors are not being properly dealt with in accordance to the issues had by each individual person. This is not rocket science. Using this approach, new treatments have been developed for a variety of behavioral problems, which are complete garbage. Probably the most widely known applied behavioral treatment is that which is offered to young autistic children. And I just explained to you why that's a bad idea. Teaching us how to mask is not going to fix the problems. They don't go away. They just get buried until they explode. And then you're like, well, that didn't work. Nothing works. I'm going to send us off to the JRC, and you'll wonder why. Yeah. Because no one treatment should be used for every single person, even with the same diagnosis. This is why Medical science would be better centered on catering treatment to the individual person as to trying to do it across the broad board. This is why it doesn't work, and you have a generation after generation after generation of autistic kids embittered, angry, and with severe hatred of neurotypical society as a whole. Matter of fact, I'm still working on that myself. I'm getting better, but there are just some times, you know what I mean? I'm working on that. I don't want to be that person anymore, but this is where all this resentment comes from. Okay? This is why you got to pay attention. We got to stop this thinking that this one size fits all, even within similar diagnoses. Okay? You're just forcing us to mask. We're not actually getting anywhere or doing anything. And eventually, all that resentment, that anger, and that frustration of forcing me to be something that I'm not, it's going to explode. And it did a lot, particularly when I was a kid. And I wasn't even forced into ABA. Think about the kids who were. And you wonder why we're banging our heads and trying to cause strokes? Yeah. Imagine the frustration of having to pretend to be someone else every day of your life, and somebody calls you out because you made the smallest mistake and everybody others you anyway. Right? Right? You want to talk of reality, doctor? Let's talk reality. Come at me. When provided sufficient intensity and consistency, some behavioral psychologists claim they have been able to reverse autism and return young autistic children to their near normal functioning. Bullshit! That's a lie. That's a lie. That's cure culture for you. What these professionals did, as we know now, years down the line, is they produced someone who could act so well that nobody could detect anything was wrong with them. I was so good. I was able to pull that off for the majority of my school career. It didn't reverse the autism. It didn't cure anything. It just made me really fucking good at pretending to be normal. But you know what? When I came home, I didn't have to force and pretend that I was somebody else. But I got to take that fucking mask off. There I was in all my autistic glory. With all the same problems, all the same triggers, and all the same issues, because they don't go away with forcing this behavioral shit down our throats, folks. You don't want to know about the years and years of therapy I've had to deal with to just stop fucking hating myself. The years of therapy it took to stop the self-loathing and even the suicidal fatalism that I had going on as a complex as a kid that nobody knew about because I kept silent. And that was me off of ABA. Imagine what these kids feel. Masking doesn't fix it. Even masking to the point that nobody else can tell outside your own family doesn't fix it. It just buries the problem until it fucking explodes. And then everybody wonders, what the happened? Gee, I wonder. Don't you? You can't do stick and carrot without dealing with the triggering issues and expect that the problem solved. It's not how any of this in reality actually works, folks. This causes clinical depression, suicidal tendencies, suicidal ideation. It causes a special level of self-loathing, a feeling of never, ever being good enough and never being able to become so. There's a lot of psychological issues and trauma that we have to spend the rest of our fucking adult lives trying to swim our way out of. Therapy, lots of it, and how much that costs. Okay? You are causing that kid unnecessary, severe trauma by trying to force them to become something we're never going to be. If you want to talk about reality, doctor, let's talk reality. No amount of behavioral psychology is ever going to change how my mind developed and how it works. No amount of behavioral psychology is ever going to change the fact that I am autistic and I'm always going to be. And no amount of faking it, no matter how good I am, is ever going to make me neurotypical. I will never think like a neurotypical, speak like a neurotypical, walk like a neurotypical, wear clothes like a neurotypical. It's never going to happen. We've got to get out of fantasy land here. But doesn't masking like that all the time, where you're more normal, make it more easier for you to live out in the real world? It actually makes it more difficult. It actually makes it a lot more difficult. Because I know, because it's been beat into me, that I will never be truly accepted by the rest of the world as who I am, my own authentic self, no matter how wonderful I am or how pleasing I am to look at. This is how I get weird ass random fanboys at my door. I know what I look like, folks. I got blessed in genes. I don't say this as a narcissist. It's just what has been presented to me. Okay? Doesn't matter how aesthetically pleasing we are or how much normal we can fake. We're still the outsiders looking in. The kid peeking through the window at the real family. You know what I mean? And we have years we have to spend unboxing that, because of this world would force us into this box whether we like it or not. They don't care if what we present is a false picture. It's what they want to see, so they're going to go with it, no matter what it costs us. We've got to change this thinking. There is no cure. There is never going to be a cure. The sooner we deal with this reality, the better off we are going to be. And then we can go back to square one and start building a treatment for a particular patient, one patient at a time. You really can be your authentic autistic self, and maybe we'll never fit in with society. But as I, admired my way out through years of trauma, I discovered it doesn't matter, because I can accept and be happy and love my true authentic self. I don't need anyone else to. They can accept me or not. I am my beautiful, autistic, nerdy, hyper-focused, intense self. I don't need anybody else's love. I don't need their acceptance. Just mine. Just mine. And having a cat helps. Having a cat helps a lot. I like the idea that cats are autistic. It makes sense to me. Dogs are too. That's my opinion. You see where I'm going here, right, folks? These issues that come with my diagnosis are always going to be there. They do not make me less of a human being. Needing reasonable accommodations. Needing to have self-soothing techniques. Needing to have little ways, and yes, even medication, to help deal with some of the not so friendly parts of my diagnosis, do not make me any less of a human being than the typical neurotypical blah blah walking down the street. Since they rebuilt my treatment, and individualized it. It got me the therapy that I needed. My life improved infinitely more. It's when we started dealing with realities, not fantasy. When we started addressing the triggering issues, boy, did that take a lot of therapy. When we started addressing those one by one and over time and what I would need for each situation, infinity. That's when I was able to get things down to a manageable level. I'm always going to have meltdowns. There are going to be moments when I have self-interest behavior. I've accepted this as a part of who I am as an autistic human being. But because we dealt with reality, not fantasy, these have been brought down to such a minimal level that I can live an interdependent life. And that's one of the things my bitch is about independent living. None of us actually live independently. Everyone's actually interdependent. Everybody's got reasonable accommodations of some kind. Ours just have labels on them. Okay? That's another bitch. I'll get into that another time. My point is, the best thing we can do with treatment is start from the beginning. Start from the beginning, from scratch, with every individual patient, and start dealing with reality, not wishful thinking. Parents, your kid is never going to be neurotypical. They are never going to be not autistic, not ADHD, not Down syndrome, not Angelman syndrome. It's never going to happen. And no amount of behavioral psychology or whatever snake oil people like Dr. Matthew Israel are going to sell you is ever going to change that fact. Deal with that reality now. Learn to appreciate your child as who they are instead of who you want them to be. And by the way, quit listening to doctors who say quit dreaming about your child, because it's bullshit. With the right tools, we can achieve just as much as anyone else. And you know who I have to prove my point? Fuck you, Ambi stands. I have two gentlemen to prove my point. I have Johnny Depp, I have Anthony Hopkins. I've got a slew of others too. I can go all day, but that's its own subject. I'm going to close out on that. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So folks, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit those comments. I appreciate your time. As always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone. Boo!